TikTok is the place to actually how to build your Instagram, because
It is.
you can get so much more attention on TikTok, and then they start finding you on Instagram and on all these other platforms.
All right, this is Leverage Podcast 78, and we are talking to my good friend Byron Lazine. Byron is a co-founding chief of operations at BAM, Broke Agent Media, co-host of The Real Word, The Walkthrough, the host of the Byron Lazine podcast, moderator and founder of the 5 a.m. Call. It's a daily live call and podcast that helps thousands of real estate professionals get into action. And also, it's hosted weekly on the FM radio show, The Real Estate Radio, for almost a decade. Byron, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. You list that whole thing out. It makes me sound important, which I'm not that important. So I appreciate that.
Of course, brother. Of course. Yeah. So just so glad to actually get you on this podcast and talk to you. So,
my pleasure.
Yeah. So Byron, let's jump into it, man. Can you tell us and the listeners how the Broke Agent Media was formed, how it started? So basically, what's your story? I know you got an amazing podcast going on.
Yeah, BAM, Broke Agent Media. Eric was the creator of the Broke Agent, the account on Instagram that so many follow. And we've looked at the analytics, right? And that account is the most engaged real estate account on all of Instagram. So that's thanks to everybody in the industry, many of your listeners. And so we appreciate that. But Eric did that about 7 or 8 years ago, just like telling his stories of the mindset of being an agent who was struggling. He was in a very competitive market in LA.
Yeah.
And he wasn't finding it easy, right? It's not an easy job. And so that was his like inner monologue, as he likes to describe it. Eric and I met a few years into that, maybe a couple of years after he started it, actually in New York at an Inman Connect. And we just became friends. We had similar way of looking at things,
similar
certainly with
mindset.
Yeah, content creation. I had been building since 2017 a media company that was helping teams with their social brand, right? And so we were working with a whole bunch of teams, primarily on the East Coast, and helping them post social, cut up clips, these kinds of things. And so we had a great staff, and we have some incredible talent, writers and video producers and editors. And so I had the staff, I had the business operations. Eric had really this vision of, how to make people laugh, how to get a lot of clicks and that type of thing. And so we put those two together and basically created Broke Agent Media, which is the amazing, number one place for content.
And you guys got some Inman Award. I know you guys, like number one podcast for real estate agents that's recommended right now.
That's right. And I appreciate that. And so absolutely number one place for education, entertainment.
Yeah.
And we put it together and it's been,
I mean, you keep it rather light. So it's actually more entertaining to look at, to listen to Instagram feed is just amazing, just mind blowing. So I really love it, myself.
Barstool Sports or real estate. That's what we like to call it.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. So maybe David Portnoy would partner up with you for podcast.
We'll talk to Portnoy.
All right. Nice. So that's good. So would you say your partnership formed after you saw an opportunity to create a media platform for collaboration with other entrepreneurs, or just basically provide more value to the real estate community?
We want to enrich agents. We want to absolutely help them. One of the things that we always get feedback on is like they want more marketing content. I know we're going to talk about some marketing stuff here, right? And so we want to enrich them, obviously, with what they can do, the education, but do it in an entertaining way and do it on the places that they're consuming content. I think, just getting caught up in just writing only and delivering, a paywall for a blog, it's just not what we do. We want to deliver content where they are, when they need it, how they want to consume it. So we want to be doing what's happening now and what's happening next. What's going to be that next thing around the next corner that we should be attacking, whether, it's a new app or new social media or new whatever.
Got it. So, I mean, looking at all your platforms where you guys are, I mean, everything looks spectacular. So like from your YouTube clips, Instagram, website, I mean, looks very distinct, and you can tell it's like branded like BAM. So really nice. So what's your secret sauce to successful content that you guys do? How do you guys come up with this?
Yeah, I mean, producing a lot of long form content like what you and I are doing right now so that we can cut it up into short form. There's no doubt that short form content is what everybody's consuming, and that is good and bad. We could debate that, but the fact is most people are consuming content, the majority of their content, in this short form reels, YouTube shorts, TikTok, right? And so you can say, hey, well, we're destroying people's attention because of how quickly you could lose the attention. Like, but that's not us doing it.
The attention span of right now, the current consumer is very short.
Very short. And so we didn't do that, right? That was Facebook that did that. That was YouTube that did that. They chose to build their algorithms on their platforms in that way. We're just seeing what people are reacting to and then building the content that they're looking for and that they're consuming. And so for us, it does start with the old Gary Vee model of long form content that we can chop down into blogs, into pictures, into short form content, have it absolutely everywhere. Absolutely have a database of where you can get all the content, which is the website, brokeagentmedia.com, where you can get all the blogs, where you can get all the shows, have all the shows on the same YouTube. So there's one place that if you're looking for real estate information, you can go and get it all there. But to really grab the attention on social, it's breaking it down into those short clips. And that's the same
short clips with subtitles, right? Yeah,
absolutely. And it's the same thing I'm doing with my real estate team in Connecticut, right? Doing long form content, creating short form content, breaking it out onto social every single place possible. It's the same thing that, a lot of the listeners, if they're a team leader or real estate agent, should be doing in their markets as well, right? Like producing a bunch of content, breaking it down into short clips and getting it out everywhere.
Nice. I mean, and actually, I've read somewhere where when consumers see that TikTok sign on a video, they watch it because they know it's got to be short, because they don't want to be like consumed too much by the long video. And if they see the TikTok sign on a video, they more likely to watch it to the end because they know it's going to be like maybe less than a minute. So
and there's nothing good, there's nothing like TikTok right now. I just saw Chris Smith talking about a stat where surprisingly, like over half of the agents or some wild number, it was an outrageous number, are not even using Instagram right now. It was like almost 50% of agents are not using Instagram right now. So if you're like one of those agents where you're like, okay, I surrender, I know I've got to build a platform on Instagram, and you're like, I'm just starting and it's building up slowly. What you just said, TikTok is the place to actually how to build your Instagram, because you can get so much more attention on TikTok, and then they start finding you on Instagram and on all these other platforms. So go all in on TikTok right now. I had a video last night that went like, this just last night, it went over 300,000 as of today. It's just crazy the amount of views and attention you can get on TikTok right now. Lean into it hard.
Oh yeah, exactly. And a while ago, I saw a video about repurposing content, and I couldn't agree more. At Virtudesk, we do the same thing here. It takes a lot of effort to conceptualize and create content. It's inevitable that there will be days when it can be difficult to come up with the new ones, so that's when repurposing content comes in handy, like if you have a lot of content already ready to go. So it has helped us pretty big, actually. For example, we have this webinars like we have right now, which we can cut into podcasts, into the little short clips, and basically load up more content into the platforms like TikTok and Instagram. Just pick out those I call them, like blowing up mind-blowing quotes and put them out there. That's what catches the attention,
the big hooks. And what I'll say about what you guys are doing at Virtudesk, you're on the cutting edge of real estate companies with how you're operating from a content creation standpoint. This is what I mean by this, right? So a lot of companies right now, as we get into a shifting market, are saying, oh my gosh, my cost on PPC just went up, and they're chasing an old model. If you look at what Mr. Beast just did and Kim Kardashian just did, they spent the last 5 years, 10 years building so much content, a content machine up.
You can repurpose it. Yeah, exactly.
And well, then Mr. Beast just launched this burger thing, tens and tens of thousands of people were standing outside of the restaurant. This is the way to get attention. This is what you guys are doing so beautifully, is creating a whole bunch of content to get attention on the brand, to get consumers. And this is the way every brand has to think about it, becoming their own version of Broke Agent Media, their own version of a media company within their business. You're executing on it, while I do see other companies in our space chasing PPC, and they're just throwing money away, as opposed to going into, influencers and also creating their own content, which is going to build trust with their audience, which is going to build a lot more of this, or these relationships organically. And so my hat's off to you guys, because the model is out there and proven.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast, Kim Kardashian, we go on and on the list of people that are leaning into this and building huge businesses off of it. So you're doing it right.
Thank you. Well, we are trying to educate real estate agents as well. So that's what they got to be doing, especially in this shifting market where, it's not as easy right now to actually make the commission because things don't sell as well as they used to. So that's what we're trying to do. So Byron, can you tell me more about how you guys repurpose your content? I mean, I know you have a lot. You have hours and hours. How do you guys do that? What's the process for doing that?
Yeah. So we actually will have somebody taking notes during a pod like this, where they're picking out those hooks. You
hooks,
said those attention grabbing quotes, the hooks, where there's a defining statement that's going to grab attention in the first 3 seconds that could lead off a clip. And then based off of that hook, what's the story in that long form piece of content that follows? And so the person taking notes is timestamping maybe 2 to 4 of those, maybe more, depending on the length of the podcast in that pod. Those notes are getting sent off to our editors, and the editors are taking that and they're going through the whole pod, listening to it for context so that they understand the story, but they're pulling out those timestamps if those are the right hooks that were identified, and then they're editing it the way that people are consuming with jump cuts, right? So there's not a big long pause. If I have a long pause in a long form conversation, it's very natural. It sounds fine to the listener. But if there's a long pause in a short form 60-second clip, it's going to be weird, and somebody's going to scroll past
the pregnant pose, basically. That's what they call it, I think. Yeah.
And so they're jump cutting it, putting graphically visual appealing pieces of information on top of that clip that tell the story, that make it visually appealing. And then from there, we'll review it. So Eric or myself, certainly our lead producer, Bobby's, whoever's reviewing that, okay, need to change here, need to add this, do that. And then starting to release those. We like to release 2 or 3 of those within the first, couple days of a pod going out to drive traffic back to the pod. And that's essentially how we're doing it from, the video perspective. That same piece of content is going to go to the writers, and they're going to write a full blog, or they're going to write timestamps of the key moments of that pod. If the goal of the blog is to drive people back to the video, which oftentimes it is, that same piece of content is going to our email newsletter to write a caption to grab the hook to get people to click on the video. And so all those things are happening. Obviously, we have a pretty big team.
You do. That's my next question. I mean, it sounds like you guys have a big team for that, because I mean, it takes a whole squad to do it. Somebody has to listen. Somebody. I mean, you cannot just be like one man show to do that.
No. So we have a pretty big team, and we're also taking off the things, obviously off our plates. Why, both of my companies right now are working with Virtudesk for a reason, because there's a whole bunch of stuff as we scale that we need off of my plate and off of my leader's plate, right? Like my operations manager needs things off of her plate. All of the leaders within both companies need things off of their plate to make these key decisions, especially when we're talking about these creative decisions, right? It takes a lot of thought and execution to actually make good content. So if we're getting bogged down with email or pulling data, or some of the spreadsheet work that has to happen to run a business, we're not going to be able to do all the creative stuff. We're not going to be able to scale up the business and scale up the marketing team as quickly as we could have otherwise. It's why we're using a whole bunch of virtual assistants to come in and be that support system for our team, to help us explode, to be in the trenches with our leaders, to take things off their plate that isn't income producing today.
Yeah. And we at Virtudesk, the marketing department, she has, I mean, you met Sarah, obviously. She has about 20 VAs, as well as people in the United States who actually help her out with everything,
She has a VA army behind her.
She does, dude.
You go to a meeting with Sarah, she's just got her whole entourage. But I love everybody's got their role of what they're pulling out of each situation. And so, I mean, I've got VAs, and I've had VAs, for years, and you and I have talked about this in the past.
Yeah,
we found VAs that are really good at picking hooks out of video. And so we have some VAs doing that. We have obviously VAs doing email art. The entire transaction team on my real estate company is all VAs. We're actually, my apps manager is interviewing right now with you guys on expanding that, because we want to go even further with our white glove service from the transaction side, where the agents do absolutely nothing in terms of how we're operating a transaction. So it's the same every single time. So it's repeatable and predictable. And we're just finding that we can get better talent, more committed talent than really anywhere else by going and getting a virtual assistant.
Byron, what would be your recommendation to agents right now who are not doing as well financially as they used to, let's say a couple of years ago, when things were like selling and flying off the shelves? And right now we see that agents come up and say, listen, I cannot sell anything, I cannot afford a virtual assistant. What would you be your recommendation to people like that, and how they can get out of this hole that they are in right now because of the market conditions? My recommendation. It's a tough question.
It's a very tough question, because it's real, right? It is. I'm not making enough money to pay my bills. What do I do next? So if you're an agent who is struggling financially, you have to make a decision. You have to verbalize this decision to the people that you care about, that are around you, that can hold you accountable. And that decision needs to be, I'm going all in on my business, or I'm not. If this business isn't for you, then you should go get something that can pay the bills. Maybe it still is in real estate, right? Maybe it's you doing some type of job for somebody else in real estate. But if you're like, wait a minute, no, I want to make the big money, the commission money. I want to do this. And you've made that decision to go all in, then you actually need to hold yourself accountable to it. And you need to spend all of your time on income producing activities. And the agent, I'm telling you, Pavel, the agents that are struggling right now in their business, that aren't making ends meet, because there's going to be over 4.5 million sales in this country this year.
Oh yeah.
It's not the same as last year, but it's a lot. And guess what? A lot of agents got out.
Somebody will take those sales.
You have less competition this year too, by the way. There's going to be plenty of opportunities. So if you are struggling financially, the majority of your day is not centered around income producing activities. And I want to be very stern with every agent who might be saying, that's me, I'm in that situation right now. You need to push yourself towards the phone. Harvard Business Review just said 48% of salespeople are afraid of the phone. And if that's you in real estate, you will be looking for a job next year. And if you don't want a 9-to-5, you want to stay in this beautiful business that we have called real estate, where the income potential is endless, then you need to dig into the trenches right now and spend all your time on the phone. Spend all your time knocking doors, if that's your gift. Spend all of your time talking to people in your community that need to buy, sell, and invest in real estate. You're not having enough conversations. It's 50 conversations equal a closing. So if you're only having 3 a week, you're going to have a lot of weeks before you cash in a closing check. So lean into that. And as you do that, Pavel, you're going to find that things are going to be breaking. You're going to say, oh my gosh, the golden number is 7, by the way. The golden number is 7. I've got 7 properties under contract and I can't keep up anymore. And that's when you're going to decide, well, geez, 7 properties under contract, at least 6 of these are going to close. Maybe one's going to fall apart. I've got the money to invest in somebody. I always lean into that transaction side. I know you've leaned into hiring somebody once you do have the money on the calls. I think get you doing it first, so that you can actually train the person on the calls.
Exactly.
Second is the way to go. And your first hire, getting somebody to handle those transactions so you just can keep moving. So you're not on the roller coaster where it's like, oh, 7 closings, now 0. 6 closings, now 0. That's what happens because you're servicing the business. You don't want to let people down.
Yeah.
So I would say if you can't afford it right now, Pavel, you've just got to decide, and you've got to really make that decision. You've got to go home, tell your spouse, tell your best friend, tell your mother, tell whoever, I'm going all in on it. And I just, as a loved one, would like you to check in on me every single day and ask me where I spent my time. Hold me accountable to where am I spending my time? Yeah, because if you're licking envelopes, I can promise you, if you're that 48% that's afraid of the phone, I can promise you this business is going to work out for you. So hold me accountable.
Some people say, well, cold calling is dead. It's right now, it's hard to get a hold of people. I mean, do you think it's just excuses, or there is really something to it, to this statement that cold calling is dead?
It's a huge excuse. At the end of the day, no matter what, you generate somebody online, like we're talking about with all of this content, you generate a lead any which way. A lead gets sent to you from Zillow, whatever the case may be. Eventually, you're getting on this thing with them. You're getting on the phone with them. So you might as well start making some outbound calls and just seeing what you can do to help people. It doesn't have to be cold calls, by the way. It could be, it could be your database. It could be a very warm call that is, I've got a buyer that's looking in your neighborhood right now, and there's nothing on the market, because most markets still are dealing with low inventory. That script still works. I would consider that a warm call, not a cold call. Hey, this is what I have. This is the value I can bring to you in your neighborhood. Do you know of anybody that's even considering selling? Is there anything I can do for you in the future in real estate? Have you ever thought of buying, selling, investing? By the way, Pavel, I would also, if I'm going in a bunch of different directions here, but if I'm creating content in my community, I'd be inviting people to come into my office and do live events with them, live panels around investing, live panels around what the interest rate means right now for them, live panels around, is it actually a good time to sell your house? All of these types of discussions where you have refreshments. And if you get 8, 10, 12 people into your office, guess what? Those are all,
this is your leads.
Those are all people that are adding to your database. And oh, by the way, how about calling people and just inviting them to this event? Is that a cold call or a warm call?
I think it's more of a warm call. Yeah.
I think it's very warm.
Yeah. It's a warm call. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So how would you recommend somebody who's in this position to come up with a content like you guys do at BAM to generate, let's say, buyer and seller leads? I mean, we have real estate agents who are struggling right now to close deals because they think, a lot of them actually on the downside right now because they think, okay, market is crashing. I mean, I hear agents reaching out to me and saying, hey, looks like the market is crashing. I mean, I don't see the market's crashing, but how would you recommend somebody to create, what kind of content would you recommend to create for this kind of a situation that we're currently in?
I'd create a 1 minute, 30-second tops question and answer show. And so I would have a theme that's very repeatable that I can do every day or every week, whatever. If your process is going to be once a week, commit to that. If your process is going to be every day, commit to that. And if my name is Emily, I'm going to just maybe sit in my car. Those used to crush for agents, and a lot of agents got away from it, right? Like showing that you're out and about everywhere. Like I might just sit in my car, I always like agents to have 2 phones. Let me have one phone recording me and maybe one phone as a prop. Like what carpenter, Pavel, do you know that doesn't have 2 hammers, right? Like this is our tool. Go
get
yourself
a hammer. Yeah, exactly.
Go get yourself a second phone. And maybe you're looking at your phone. Hey, welcome back to Emails with Emily, right? I've got another email question and it is blah, 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 blah. Because people are like, I can't do a Q&A show because I don't have a big enough audience to get questions. Just open up your email and look at all the questions that you've had over the past year. And just say, hey, it's Emails with Emily. I've got another email here. And somebody asked me about what X and Y means in an inspection report. So this is what it means. This is how you should look at it. And this is what you should do to consult with your agent. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of this content, right? That's it. Just rinse and repeat. Keep putting
And it
that
has
out
to be
there.
consistently. It has to be consistently, basically, right?
Yeah, you got anything you
Yeah.
do, if you do it once, it's worth doing over and over again. I don't like doing things just once. If it's worth doing,
Yeah.
I want to do it over and over and over again. And the same thing with content. These algorithms they're like a sponge.
I mean,
They
you guys
suck it
post
up
content daily. I mean, I see looking at your
multiple times a
Instagram.
day.
Yeah, you guys all the time. You have something new coming up. You got some
And
really cool stuff. And those of you who haven't checked out BAM, check out Broke Agent Media. They're on Instagram. I'm following them on Instagram, probably on TikTok as well, right?
yeah, wherever. I mean, go to
Yeah.
brokeagentmedia.com and you can see everything that we're doing. And I would just rip off and duplicate what we're doing into your business.
Exactly. I was about to say that. Yeah.
That video that you just shot, Emails with Emily, now becomes the video in your email newsletter, right? And so
Yep.
you want to use this as many times as you possibly can. Don't just make an Instagram reel and just leave it there. Get it out there, repurpose it in a different way, different spin on the email, and maybe write a paragraph for a little bit more context in the email, and then give them a CTA of, reaching out and having a conversation with you about the expertise that you share in the video.
Also, I would probably recommend people to start developing your niche, and that's how I got it when I was doing real estate. I developed my own niche, was a pre-foreclosures, and I was dealing with a lot of pre-foreclosures, short sales. That's how I started in real estate, at the beginning, and I was doing some FSBOs and expireds, but pre-foreclosures was actually my niche. That's where I made most of my money. So think of the niche you can jump into. I mean, I'd probably recommend, develop some relationship with divorce lawyers or bankruptcy attorneys or the trustees, and just go meet people. Because again, if you're gonna be sitting on your buttocks, nothing's gonna come to you. You've got to do something.
By the way, I was just on just this morning. I was looking at the PropStream dashboard, and they curate a bunch of information, and pre-foreclosures is on the up. I mean, it is rising right now. And so like that was one of the lists that they were curating. I was just taking a look at it. And yeah, I would say, to your point, finding a niche that you can aggressively attack to get yourself more listings, because you're going to want to be a listing agent in this market change right now. You're going to want to control your business, and pre-foreclosures is a great way to do it.
It's a really great way. And one of the best things, not a lot of agents go after them because they don't know how to handle them.
What was your go-to to get yourself more pre-foreclosure opportunities? What was your...
I'll walk you through my process. So what I did, I first was buying a list from RedX. Second, I went on Zillow, because Zillow used to post foreclosures or pre-foreclosures. So I look up the address, and then I create the database. Again, my VA was creating the database of the addresses where the pre-foreclosures are happening, and we were digging the phone numbers, and she was calling, scheduling an appointment. Or I can just go and knock on the door, say, hey, listen, I'm not from the bank. I'm not here to kick you out. I'm a local real estate agent. I know you have some trouble paying your mortgage, and I would like to help you out. And a lot of people were receptive to it. Say, hey, listen, we can get you paid, we can get you some money, and you can avoid the foreclosure. So and you're embarrassed and everything. Yeah.
Your VA was calling and saying, hey, I local real estate agent Pablo I work with. Exactly. He's just going to come over and share with you a few ways to help improve the situation.
How you can avoid the foreclosure. A lot of people are saying, oh, I would like to save my house. To say, okay, good, but let's look at all the options, of what's available.
So you're coming in as the educator now, saying,
as an educator, exactly.
You want to keep the house here. Here's what we got to do. Yeah. You want to tap into your equity, and what's interesting, when you did it, values were crashing quickly.
Yeah. Yep.
So the advantage, I think it's actually easier. I don't know if you agree with me. I think it's easier right now to go after pre-foreclosures, because you can say to them, hey, one of the options is you actually have a whole bunch of equity. Exactly. Let's go sell the property. Like when you were doing it, it was harder because you didn't have that much equity.
A lot of them were in the negative. So that was just a lot of short sales. So we're doing some creative ways with the banks to get people paid, to get them some relocation money. So it took a while to get to the closing table, but it was doable, because you have to work with the bank and with the servicers. But right now it's actually way more easier, I think, because once the person makes up the mind to sell, then they can just get the equity and get something cheaper. They can rent. They can basically, weather the storm somehow. But that was way more difficult back then than it's now. I agree.
Yeah, I think the opportunity, people are overlooking it right now, and a lot of these folks who are struggling don't realize how much equity they have in this market.
Yeah. Big time. So it's just one of those things. Again, one of those niches that you can tap into. You don't have to do what a traditional real estate agent does, like go after for sale by owners and expireds and fight with other agents and fight the seller on the commission. Because again, if you go to the people who do not know their options, you can educate them. You can show them their options. You can show them how much money they can actually get for their houses, and you can do that. But again, educate yourself. You need to grow. You need to learn. You need to open up your mind to other things in real estate. Real estate is not just only working with the retail buyers. So
that's right. Yeah, I mean, I love the way you're thinking about it. And listen, if you've been just working with buyers the last 2 years, I mean, Zillow saying it, RDC saying it, everybody's saying it. Online traffic for the buy side is way down. So you've got to go and build out other lead pillars for your business to stay in business.
Investors, go to make friends with investors. Go make friends with builders. Find lots for builders. Find deals. Make friends with wholesalers. Wholesalers can be your really good friends because they have inventory.
They do.
Basically be out there and create your network, create your niche. That's my recommendation to people. It's harder to do probably than to say, but you cannot be sitting on your buttocks and not do anything and expect business to come to you.
That's right. Get a standing desk and make calls.
Exactly. Yeah. So on this note, I mean, we'll just wrap up the conversation. Byron, it was really interesting talk with you. Really loved chit chatting with you and getting your
likewise
side of getting your side of this. So again, best luck to BAM. Love what you guys doing, and love to have the partnership with you guys. And
same.
Looking forward to more of your content, brother.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you, and thanks for having me on.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too.
All right.